In a previous video, we took this Atari 1040 ST that wasn't working and got it functional. We did that in a couple different ways. First off, changed out the power supply, got the floppy drive working, and then also it had been modified previously by the Computer Curriculum Corporation to not want to run Atari ST software. And it did that through the use of a specific or modified ROM chip. All right. So we got it working. It's all working except for the keyboard. The keyboard was non-functional. So today we're gonna go do through two things. We're gonna fix the keyboard, and then I wanna check out these ROMs, or this ROM here, and compare it versus the Atari TOS 1 ROM. See what the differences are. Let's get to it. Okay, so what we're gonna start with first, we're gonna take this guy apart. We're gonna stick this ROM back in, the modified ROM, and do a little more testing with it. You know, I had some folks in the comments say, hey, I was putting a wrong disk, putting a program, a self-booting programmable disk in there. It won't show up you won't show any files on it. I think I've tried some other disks in there, but I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna put this ROM chip back in, and we'll see if we can't see any file information on the floppy disk. So we're gonna take a look at this now. We're booting it up. As you can see, we have the new power supply there. We're booting up into TOS. I'm using a language disk, which should show files on it in the desktop. Pop the guy in. Let's read it. Oops. Kicking the tripod around. As you can see, we have the basic, we have the Boink program. Let's take a look at Boink. That looks awful familiar, doesn't it? On the Atari ST. All right, so it works just fine using TOS 1.0, using the ROMs that are in there, right? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap out that one ROM for this guy and see if I can't get Boink running again. All right, we'll fast forward to that point. All right, we are powered off, disconnected. We will remove the power supply. There we go. It's easier to take it out with the whole thing out, but we'll just do it this way because I don't want to take apart all the other stuff. All I'm just doing is lifting out the feet. Boom, here we go. Now we're going to zoom in. The ROM chip needing to be swapped back is this guy right here. So we'll take this guy and put him back in. We will do the gentle lift. And if I can do a twist, I'll do a twist. We'll get it to pop out. There we go. He is out. We will put the Computer Curriculum Corporation chip back in there. Put this power supply back in place. There we go. And now we are good to go here. Power you back on. Get the monitor back on. Let's see if Boink works. The funny thing is that noise, in my mind, says it's not detecting any disk in the drive. So my guess is it's going to dump to TOS and have an unreadable floppy in the drive. Let's see. And there you have it. Doesn't even show a blank one now. Just not responding. So I took the Computer Curriculum Corporation ROM. Say that a lot of times fast. That's a tongue twister. I don't know how many times I've had to record this to try to get that right. But I took that ROM, the ROM that they had changed, and read the contents with my ROM programmer here. All right. So I had to disable the chip identification because I couldn't find the specific manufacturer of this chip. But nonetheless, I was still able to read it and was able to dump the contents and then save it to my hard drive, right? I then did this exact same thing to the Atari TOS 1.0 ROM that I had as well. I have lots of those, so I was able to find one and be able to do that. Okay, once I had both of the binary files extracted, then I used a binary comparison program. In this case, this is vbindiff, right, to compare the two files. And you know what the funny thing is I actually checked through the results about 4 times, actually just cycling through it, looking for any differences, etc. And I only found 3. Now, the software actually looks for the specific differences, and it highlights them, right? Highlights them in red. And there were only 3 differences in the ROM, actually, the binary. And I'm not a programmer, but that seems like hardly anything to get what was actually changed. And to be fair, I would love it if someone who was watching this video knows what this could have done, or is familiar enough with the TOS ROMs. That would be, I'd love to know. I mean, I think it'd be interesting as to what exactly are these changes doing. Are they simply just disabling reading from the floppy drive, which that might be all it is. All right. So here are the rubber domes. I've investigated them all, taken a look at them, done a bit of testing, just testing out the PCB by itself, along just with the diagnostic cart so I can test the keyboard little by little. And what you see on the right with this dome here, this is actually a new, let's just say new tested old stock, whatever you want to call it, that I purchased, a few years ago. And let's zoom in on this guy. And you can see the texture, the carbon texture on the tip of the little nub there. All right, the little pad, the little carbon pad. On the flip side, here is another one that came out of my board here. Do you see any texture? Do you see anything on that? That looks, there's just a smidge of texture you can possibly see there. Now, I've been able to test them both. And it's amazing the difference in the responsiveness on the keyboard. I can get this to activate keystrokes, but it's not consistent and requires more force than probably the keyboard itself, the plungers can actually apply. So what I want to do is I'm going to show this on the screen. So I've already done this testing myself, and we'll kind of just walk through it. All right. All right, so we're going to flip this guy over so that I can kind of see where the various keycaps are. All right, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to push K, the K keycap, this guy up here on the board, first with, if I can get this one to focus on this guy. This is and I've actually looked at all the rubber domes. To a greater or lesser degree, those that were on this keyboard look like this. So there was a tremendous amount of, I don't know, wear, damage, etc. Something got spilled into these keyboards, or this keyboard. All of the rubber domes look like this, or to a greater or lesser degree. All right, so what we'll do is we will power this guy on with the diagnostic cartridge. All right.
And here we have the diagnostic cartridge input. We're going to zoom in. All right, so let's find the K key, because I need to push the K for keyboard, the keyboard test. So this is enter apostrophe colon LK. K should be this guy right here. So we're going to put the rubber dome right here. And I'm going to try to press on it and get it to activate. So what you're going to do is you're going to look at the, enter the letters, and you'll see down at the bottom if it enters in a K. All right, I have to put a lot of pressure on it in order to do it, but I can actually get it to activate. It does activate. All right, and now let's push the backspace. And I also have to support the board on the back. So this is, here we go. That is this guy with the smooth tip. Now we're going to take a look at this guy. Yeah, it's there. It was focusing easier earlier, but whatever. There we go. This has a better texture on it. And we will go do this again. All right. Enter apostrophe colon LK. Now I'm not going to support the back. I'm just going to tap it, just like the keyboard would. It doesn't require anything at all. It is substantially more effective in actually activating the keyboard PCB. All right, there's nothing wrong with the PCB. These traces here are perfectly fine. I did the continuity test on it as well. It's working fine. The issue is that all of these rubber domes are not necessarily very effective. But what we're going to do now is I have a donor 520 ST. Actually, it shows this, the label says 1040 STE. It is not an STE. That was just a label I had on it, had available. The keyboard itself, as you can see, this has been, was retro-brighted, and didn't result in a very good outcome. But the keyboard works. I will source the rubber domes from this guy and perform a rubber dome transplant. All right, let's get to that. All right, you might be wondering, why do I have to do a rubber dome transplant? Why don't I just take this keyboard here and use it from the 520 ST to the 1040 ST. This is definitely parts computer. This has a lot of parts in it. I've done a lot of interesting things to try to get this thing to work. I have not gotten it to work. The reason, go back to answering my own question that I asked that I didn't answer. The reason, I'll pick up that screw later. The reason why you don't is because the connector for a 520 ST actually is very different than that for the 1040 ST. I'll show you in a second. All right. Take a look at these two boards. Obviously this one, for the 1040 ST, has the wonderful placement of the mouse and joystick port on the bottom. The 520 ST does not. But look at this connector. The connector to the keyboard for the 520 ST has a heck of a lot more pins. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. 17 pins versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Significantly different pin count there, obviously. So you can't just use this guy on this guy. So what do we do now? We'll take this apart, steal the rubber domes, place them there, and get going. All right, there we go. And gently, carefully, we pull this off. And there we go. Let's take a look at these. They are looking a lot better. Not nearly as smooth, a better texture to them. And we'll just start moving them over to the 1040 keyboard. There we go. We will just move them up. I need to remove this guy. Oh, we'll leave him in. We'll have an extra dome in there because I have this extra guy right here. So this enter key will be extra robust. Now I'm going to take it out. If I can find the tweezers. There we go. This guy. There's always an empty one by the enter key. Okay, we have them all rubber domes back in. I'm not going to show the reassembly because it's tedious and long. There's lots of little screws. We'll fast forward to when this is all done and installed and ready to test. All right, keyboard back in, fully assembled, good to go. Flip the switch. Here we are on the screen. Let's zoom in. Let's press the K key. K. Keyboard. Perfect. Only thing changed are the rubber domes. Something happened to those rubber domes. Maybe it was me. I don't think it was me. Ooh, the return key. There's something wrong with that. All right, I'm gonna have to figure that one out because it's not bouncing back very well. All right. All right, it looks good. Okay, keyboard's looking good. I do need to do something about that return key because it looks like it's stuck in some way, shape, or form. It could just be that the bar is having issues. All right. Okay, we are good to go here. One last thing. Does it work? Yes, it does. What I did is I took the empty spot where you don't typically find a rubber dome. I placed it there, gave it a little more upward force. It works past all the stickiness and perhaps some misshapenness a little bit to get it to at least return properly. And so what I did is I stole a rubber dome from the non-functional rubber domes, since it still is elastic and pushes upwards. So I think we're good. We are dead set. We have a fully working computer. All right. Thank you for watching. Hope you had a fantastic